Okay, we're going to keep this data party moving. We do have one more talk in retail, and we're going to hear from Katie Hermann. She is the Senior Director of Advanced Analytics at the Master Lock Company, and she's going to talk to us today about moving from supplier to partner in analyzing retail sales data. So she works in Milwaukee and has worked for other great Midwest household brands, Harley Davidson, Redbox, and Kohler. In her current role, Katie leads teams working to implement data-driven win-win recommendations across their North American retail and commercial customer base. Katie holds an MBA from University of Chicago Booth School of Business and a BA from Illinois Wesleyan University. She lives on the north side of Milwaukee with her husband, Chris, and their 3 girls. Wow, Katie, you have 3 girls. I have 2 girls. This is great. I'm going to go ahead and bring Katie up on stage. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us here at the DATAcated Conference.
Yes, thank you for having me. All right, can everybody see my screen too here?
Oh, I'm going to share your screen as soon as I jump off. So I'm jumping off, I'm sharing your screen, and it's yours for 10 minutes. Then I'll be back for some questions.
Great. Thanks, Kate. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me today. So as Kate said, I'm Katie Hermann, and I lead our advanced analytics teams here at the Master Lock Company in beautiful Milwaukee. So we're responsible for analysis and insights generation across our sales and our revenue generating parts of the company. So we partner with our internal teams here on things like product assortment, pricing optimization, customer and channel strategy, and then demand planning and forecasting. So bringing it all together. And I've spent about 15 years or over 15 years now on all things retail channel related, but working on the supplier side or the vendor side with our retail partners who then sell our products onto the end customer. So what Jan was just talking about, we would be selling in as a supplier to his retail stores. So the people who are using our products every day and interacting with them and asking questions about them are our end customer. And so really we're trying to make sure that we can get closer to our end customer, which can be challenging as a manufacturer. So we really want to make sure that we're understanding both their needs as well as at the same time understanding the needs and strategies of our retail and distribution partners so that we can all grow together. So how does data come into this? So data is everywhere in retail, obviously, and it's also everywhere in a manufacturing company. So as an analyst serving retail within a manufacturer or a supplier, we work a lot with external data sets that are provided by our retailers, so primarily point of sale data. And that point of sale data tells us what are our retailers selling, how, where, in what channel, so online or in brick and mortar stores or a combination of those. At what price is that selling through, at what velocity and frequency, and understanding that information can then help us make better predictions about what do we need to produce or not produce in the coming weeks and months. So we want to really understand where consumer preferences are moving and then where we might have opportunity to improve. But one of the biggest challenges with tying that external data that we get from our retailers is then tying it to that internal data that we're generating every day through direct interactions with our end customers through our websites or through customer service calls, the data that we're seeing in terms of our retail partners' orders that come through to us, and then the data that's generated by our own business processes through manufacturing, procurement, marketing, transportation, etc. So tying all of that together from a lot of different systems is a really big challenge, but ultimately building a process to enable quick insights or quick access to as much data as you can helps us move then from just being a supplier that may be reacting more to retailers' requests to a partner who's bringing new ideas and solutions and then helping uncover action items that can help us both grow and help us both better serve our end customers. So it's really all about how efficiently can you move from gathering your data and just knowing what data you have and where it's at, all the way to creating that speed to insight that's going to enable those data-driven actions. So how do we first get started with understanding what data do we need to do this? Often as an analyst, you're already going to know the questions that you need to answer because you'll know what your business teams are asking you for in reporting. So I'm sure many of you who serve retail or work within retail are getting questions like, how many items of X product did I sell at Y retailer or in Y location last week? those types of things. So you can start right there with collecting the data to answer those kinds of things systematically and in an automated way to then free up your time as an analyst for the really fun stuff that really enables you to spend time thinking about your big idea and your vision for what else you might want to answer with that data set. So maybe it's, why did we sell that many of item X at customer Y last week? How can I sell more than that next week? What are the causal factors that are letting me sell that? And then can I develop a hypothesis around those causals and then try to maybe collect other data sets to try and prove or disprove my hypothesis? So I'm going to talk through just a couple examples of how we've moved at MasterLock from kind of reporting the news, which is still very important, something critical that we need to continue to service every day, to also uncovering insights that are going to help us further our partnerships with our biggest retail partners. So during the early weeks of the COVID-19 pandemic, kind of similar to what Pete and Jan just talked about, we really used our point of sale data warehouse more than ever because we really needed to understand what products are potentially at risk of stocking out faster. How can we come up with creative solutions in partnership with our product teams and our sales teams to identify substitution items that can keep product flowing through what was a very stressed both supply and demand system? And we were really, really fortunate to have just completed our data warehouse with our IT partners in December of 2019. So timing could not have been more critical there. And as the weeks went by and stay-at-home orders were lifted here in the US, or maybe they were modified at the city level, the county level, the state level, we were really closely watching our point of sale data maps like the one you see here. So large sections of the country or even large urban areas really started to pop out at us visually on our maps as we started to review our retail point of sale data and our inventory data every Monday morning. And we started to develop hypotheses about where demand might be continuing to grow, which retailers and which sections of the country were going to open up first. And then we looked at our retailers' inventory then to figure out, okay, what should we go do about this? Where do our retailers need more product? Are we in danger of stocking out? Could we potentially do something like drop ship, directly from our warehouses right into our customers' stores? So sort of bypassing what would be a more normal distribution channel with retail to try to get that product into the hands of our end customers as soon as possible. Or conversely, were there other areas of the country or stores where we needed to pull back on our forecasting and then continue to monitor reopening trends to prepare for a later surge in demand that we saw, coming into the summer and fall? So this kind of insight helped us to bring recommendations to our retail partners and start to problem solve together about how could we address the challenges we were both seeing, because we both have the same goal. We both want to meet the needs of our end customers. So how can we do that together? And then the other exciting benefit that I'll talk through today with our data warehouse is the ability to identify test and learn opportunities. So as a manufacturer, we may want to test something, could be new product, could be a new price point, a new price architecture, could be a new assortment within our store, or even just within a certain category that we're servicing. But gaining the resources and the time with our retail partners to actually make a change in the store can be really tough. It takes a lot of time and cost and labor in order to move product around on the shelves, potentially actually move shelves or put in new shelves in retailer stores. That's not something that's quick and easy to sell in. And it's even tougher as a supplier if you don't have the data to back up your hypothesis about what we may want to test. Why are we recommending to do that test? And then how are we going to track that data and make sure it's doing what we wanted it to do? So a couple of years ago, we were working at MasterLock here on a product line extension, and we believed it was going to be highly correlated with real estate activity. So we based this hypothesis on sales data at the zip code level. So we were able to identify then where are the basic products in this category that we already sell, where are those over-indexing, and then correlate those to markets that we knew were hot in residential real estate activity. And then we use that data to develop a test strategy, and we proposed the list of stores or markets where we believed our new product would succeed. So I want to be clear, all of our biggest retailers that we work with, They have great data, they have more data than we do, and they have really, really strong teams of analysts. But just like anyone, those analysts, may be very busy. They're likely planning multiple categories within their stores. They likely have multiple teams and multiple people that they need to answer to. And so they're also very used to suppliers coming to them, just trying to sell more stuff and more stuff. So if a supplier partner who they trust and have a relationship with is willing to dig in and talk about the pros and cons of a test strategy, and then bring real data that shows why we have that hypothesis, it can set us up for success, not only in learning what we want to learn from that test, but also in deepening our relationship with the customer. So having that data and using it to develop your pitch means you'll be able to say things like, okay, I'd like to test this and I want to see if it could work as a national strategy. So I'd like to pick test stores or test markets that are disparate, maybe across the company, and are statistically relevant for what could become a national strategy. Or maybe you're saying, hey, I'd like to test a hypothesis around a target consumer for this particular product. So I'd like to pick test stores that are both over-indexed and under-indexed in this particular consumer grouping, because I want to assess whether there is truly a difference there and then what might be driving that. So you can then also each track those test metrics. So your retailer will track it, you'll track it, and then you'll come back together to discuss what you're learning, just continuing to deepen that partnership around data-driven solutions. So as I wrap up here, I do want to make it clear, all of these activities were made possible not just with the data. The data is so important in setting that foundation, but executing on data-driven ideas really also requires us to work internally with our partners around the business to agree on what are our big goals, collaborate on a vision for how we're going to accomplish those. And it really takes a lot of teamwork and communication and listening to make that all happen. I wish I could say, as an analyst at heart, I wish I could say data is the answer, and it's certainly one of the answers, or it's a puzzle piece in that. But when you've taken the time and care to develop a data-driven model and then bring solid recommendations to your retailer, that's how you're going to be able to earn that trust. If you've shown the willingness to go the extra mile and understand your retailer's business and have a good conversation, that's when you truly begin to move from a supplier to a partner. So thanks, Kate, for having me today. Thanks, everyone, for coming to my talk, and looking forward to hearing from the rest of our presenters today.
Awesome. Katie, thank you so much. That was a phenomenal presentation. We have so many comments and questions. We'll try to take 2 questions because of time, but I think it was definitely an eye-opener for me. We'll start with this question that it relates very much to what you just said, right? It's not only about the data, it's culture plays a big role. So a question here is, how did you nurture this culture and data sharing across your retail partners? Did you have prior use cases that accelerated buy-in from your retail partners?
Yeah, great question. So nurturing the culture is so important, both internally and then how do we bring that data to our retail partners? So we've done some fun stuff just trying to internally build our data culture and encourage our analyst teams across the company to work together, to be encouraged to bring new ideas, to feel safe to do that, and then to have fun together kind of talking about these things. And then it kind of in the second part of the question there of, did we have use cases that helped accelerate this? I mean, I think we have been working for a long time to make sure that we first just understand what data is out there that we're getting to be able to speak intelligently about it to our retailers. But, I was pleasantly surprised to see during the pandemic. That's when, it was obviously a global crisis that's still continuing today. And that really, having a common goal in mind of, hey, this is happening to all of us. We're all dealing with the same things. How can we have good conversations and sort of break through these barriers, because we're facing a once in a lifetime challenge here.
Yeah, absolutely. I especially love the part about trying to make this fun. I think if you can make it fun, more people are going to do it.
Yeah.
We'll take one more question here. A question from Phil. What kind of platform or platforms, I guess, did you use for your predictive analytics?
Yeah, great question. So when we first started with building our point of sale data warehouse, we really kind of just wanted to get started with a few use cases and a pilot. So we started by building this, we had all the data in Excel, or we spent a lot of time getting it in Excel. We then used Alteryx to help us blend and combine that data, and then run some statistical modeling and predictive stuff in there. We then, once we had developed some of these use cases and were able to talk with our executive team, we then partnered with our IT team to develop more of a kind of on-prem solution. Still use Alteryx for other use cases today, but we brought everything into our on-prem data warehouse, and now we're pushing into Tableau.
Okay, very interesting. That makes sense. Excel, Alteryx, Tableau, that seems to have a common flow that I've seen across other companies as well. So,
yes, for sure.
Katie, I really want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being DATAcated here with us today at the conference. Really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Kate. Good to see you all.
Okay, I will see you online.